Here is a sentence you have heard your entire life. In ancient times, people died at 30. It is in textbooks. It is in documentaries. It is repeated by historians who should know better. And it is a lie. A statistical illusion so convincing that almost the entire modern world believes it. The truth is stranger and far more interesting. Welcome to Archaia. If you look up the life expectancy of ancient humans, you will find numbers that seem genuinely grim. Paleolithic humans, around 30. Ancient Rome, somewhere between 20 and 30. Ancient Egypt, an average age at death of about 19. It sounds like a world where being 30 made you an elder, where gray hair was a miracle, where almost nobody lived long enough to grow old. But every single one of those numbers is hiding something. And once you see what it's hiding, you can never unsee it. Because average life expectancy is one of the most misleading phrases in all of history. Let me show you why. Imagine a tiny village of just 10 people. 5 of them live to the ripe old age of 70, but 5 of them, tragically, die before their first birthday. Now let's calculate the average life expectancy of this village. You add up all the ages, 5 70s and 5 1s. You divide by 10. The answer? 35 and a half. So the official record would say, the average person in this village lived to 35. But look closely at the village. Nobody actually died at 35. Not one single person. Half of them died as infants, and the other half lived into their 70s. The average describes no one who ever lived. This is the trick. This is the entire illusion. And it is exactly what happened across the ancient world. The killer was not aging. The killer was infant mortality. For most of human history, being born was the single most dangerous thing you would ever do. In many ancient societies, as many as 1 in 3 children died before the age of 5. Disease, infection, the brutal, fragile gauntlet of early childhood with no antibiotics, no vaccines, no clean water. Those tiny lives, lost so early, dragged the average down with savage force. Every infant who died at 1 year old mathematically canceled out an elder who lived to 59. But here is the part nobody tells you. If you survived childhood, if you made it past that deadly first gate of about 5 years old, your life expectancy shot upward dramatically. In ancient Rome, a person who reached 15 could expect to live into their 50s. In ancient Greece, the data from Athens suggests that those who survived to adulthood often lived to around 60. Studies of hunter-gatherer societies show the same pattern. Again and again. The most common age of death for adults wasn't 30, it was 70. 70. The same age your grandparents are now. We can even see this in the historical record, hiding in plain sight. The Greek playwright Sophocles lived to 90. The philosopher Plato to around 80. Socrates was 70 when Athens executed him, and he was executed, not dying of old age. Roman emperors, senators, poets, and generals routinely lived well into their 60s and 70s. These were not bizarre, freakish exceptions. These were normal adults who had simply passed through childhood and gone on to live full, complete human lives. The image we carry in our heads of a prehistoric world where everyone was dead by 30, where a 40-year-old was an ancient relic, never actually existed. There were grandparents in the Stone Age. There were old men with gray beards telling stories around Neolithic fires. There were grandmothers in ancient Egypt bouncing grandchildren on their knees. The deep past was not a world without old age. It was a world where you simply had to survive childhood to reach it. So what actually changed in the modern era? Here is the beautiful, surprising answer. We did not primarily extend the human lifespan. We protected the beginning of it. The great leap in modern life expectancy, from the 30s to the 80s, was driven overwhelmingly by one thing. We stopped babies from dying. Clean water, vaccines, antibiotics, sanitation, safe childbirth. We didn't invent old age. Old age was always there, waiting for anyone who could reach it. What we invented was a way to get almost everyone safely through the front door. The maximum human lifespan has barely moved in thousands of years. A healthy person living to their 70s or 80s was just as possible in ancient Athens as it is today. The difference is that back then, it was a prize you won by surviving childhood. Today, it's something we hand to nearly everyone. So here is the truth at the center of this story. Your ancient ancestors were not a doomed people, flickering out at 30. They fell in love. They raised children. They grew old. They got wrinkles and bad backs and gray hair, and told the same stories one too many times, just like the old people in your life right now. The 30-year lifespan was never real. It was an average, weighed down by the unbearable weight of lost children. Children we, in the modern world, have finally learned to save. So the next time someone tells you that ancient humans all died at 30, you can tell them the truth. They didn't die young. They were just born into a world where the first 5 years were a war. And the ones who won it grew just as old as we do.